Hello friends, today I'm going to answer the question, can you rent a single family home to multiple tenants? Is it possible to rent a single family home to multiple tenants? Well, there's a lot to unpack with that question. But by the end of this video, you're going to understand the strategic benefits and potential drawbacks of renting out a single family home to multiple tenants. It seems like the world of real estate is constantly innovating, which I love. I think that's absolutely awesome. And renting out a single family home to multiple tenants is part of that innovation. But because it's always innovating, there are questions that need answered, right? There are things that maybe we haven't thought of that need to be experienced first with that data brought back to us so we know and fully understand the strategy. And with this strategy of renting out a single family home to multiple tenants raises a lot of questions. What legalities are there? How is it done? Well, stick with me because I hope to answer those questions by first explaining how the strategy works. Next, I want to cover how it's done legally and above board. And finally, I'll cover some of the more important aspects when it comes to engaging in this strategy so you can maximize the amount of money that you make and you do it the right way. If you are ready, let's dive in and go. So how exactly does this strategy work? Let's take traditional real estate investing, right? You have a single family home. Most people that own an extra home or a single family home are looking to rent that out to one tenant, one person, one family, right? And the overall goal behind that is you have a single family home that you're paying this as your mortgage and you want to rent it out to somebody else at this price because that buffer there is going to cover the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, the repairs, all those different things. And you have somebody essentially paying for your asset, an asset that is appreciating. So think about how cool that is. You own a second home and you're renting it out and somebody else is paying for all of your expenses, your mortgage payments on an appreciating asset. That is the goal. That's the strategy with the single family home. But renting out a single family home to multiple tenants is completely different, but one that could actually make you so much more money in the long run and even the short run. So think about it. Here is one of the main benefits of renting out to multiple tenants in a single family home. You're going to make a lot more money. So let's take an example. Let's say that you have a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home. And if you were to rent that out on today's market, let's say you get a family in there, it's in a nice neighborhood, they're willing to pay $3,000 a month to rent this home from you. Now that's awesome and that's great, but what if you could rent that out to 5 different tenants that each took a room, but they shared the amenities like the bathrooms, the laundry room, the kitchen, etc. And you could rent that out for $1,000 per room. Now, 1,000 times 5 is $5,000. Would you rather make $5,000 for that single family residence every single month or $3,000? Now, I know what most people are going to say. They'd rather make $5,000, but what legalities, what issues, is it really worth it? Is that $2,000 a month extra worth it? Well, let's dive in and find out. And before we do that, let's just cover a couple of other benefits and ideas behind the strategy. Number one, you're probably going to be helping out a lot of people who might not be able to afford living in an apartment. It seems like the prices of staying in an apartment, even a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, are so high that if somebody could stay at an actual home and round out the bathroom and have a full kitchen, a nice bathroom, a living room, a yard, a garage, who wouldn't want that over a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment? For clarification purposes, as we talk about this and the legalities of this, I want you to understand I am not an attorney and that each state, each municipality is different. So you definitely should talk to somebody who is more in the know about where you live and what to do versus what I'm saying in this video. I will give you all the information that I found as I researched it, but just know there's going to be different things depending on where you live. Let's say that you have a home and you might rent out 1 or 2 rooms to a small family and that you own the home, you live there, but you're renting out a basement apartment. I've done that every single time I've owned a home. That is the strategy that I've wanted to incorporate ever since I decided I wanted to own a home because I thought if I could have somebody living in my basement or renting a few rooms and helping me pay my mortgage, I am willing to do that. Now, a lot of people say, man, there's no privacy, but for ours, I always made sure we had a basement apartment with a separate access to the garage so we didn't have to worry about that. Now, there's still times where you run into these people, but for me, it's not a big deal. I'm a social person. I love people, so not a big deal for me, but some people might not like that. But when it comes to the legalities behind that, I have never had any issues. Now, you probably want to check with your HOA. You probably want to check with city ordinances, state government to make sure that you're not violating any laws there. But I've done it in every home that I've lived in and I've had 0 issues. Now, the other one, let's talk about that. This has a lot more legalities behind it than what I just talked about. And this is where you own a single family home, you do not live there, and you want to rent out to multiple tenants in each room. Now, there are some states, some cities who have actually really cracked down on this. There's people who have bought some homes in certain states, certain cities, and they plan to fill it up with multiple tenants in each room, but they made them kick out some of those guests. So there are issues there that you need to do your own research. But matter of fact, just recently I was at a real estate conference and I met a group who specializes in this. They are called pad split. And one of the ways they get around it, which is something that somebody told me and I just wasn't sure about it, but it's starting to add up and make a little bit of sense. And I'll just share with you what I learned, not saying this is doctrine, that you should go forth and start buying these homes and doing it. Do your legal research, talk to an attorney. But one person said, listen, I'm doing it right now and I am creating an LLC that all of these tenants are a part of the LLC. So I have one LLC renting the home for me, not multiple tenants. So if somebody moves out, I get them out of the LLC and I move somebody else in the LLC. So once again, it is one unit, one person, one organization, one LLC renting my single family home that I do not live in to multiple tenants through one LLC. Pad split does the same thing. They set it up to where these people are under pad split and they're part of an LLC under pad split that they are part of, and pad split does everything. They find the tenants, they handle tenant disputes, and they make sure that they market to get people in the home. So if turnover happens, they're the one putting somebody else in there, which is a huge relief for a lot of people like myself who don't want to deal with tenant disputes or the legalities of this. Now, once again, do your own research. I talked to Pad Split just recently about this, but even as I was doing research, their website popped up, and as I studied them, I thought this would be a great solution, but after talking to them in person at this event that I was at, it gave me more confidence that they could do this. Matter of fact, one person had utilized them on 4 different homes, and they are making great money on every single home. Now, Pad Split is new. They're just launching in multiple cities and growing, so they might not be in your city yet, but they're definitely a group you should talk to if you're thinking about doing this the right way, above board and legally. So what are some of the important aspects when engaging in this strategy? Well, number one, you want to make sure that you have your home set up right? If you're renting out a single family home to multiple tenants, the bedrooms should be nice. That's their living quarters. That's where they're going to live, right? You should make sure the bathrooms are nice, maybe strategically located so multiple people can use it. You want to have all the amenities in the home of a kitchen, right? That they can cook food, almost like a short-term rental. So those are some important aspects. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to this strategy. Some of the advantages, obviously, number one is making more money doing it this way. Another advantage is helping people who otherwise might not be able to rent a home. And think about it, if they're a tenant, as I mentioned, renting a single 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and they could have a single room with all these other amenities and a large, nice home, that's a better fit, a better option. And obviously, it's easier to evict one tenant in one room versus an entire family in a 5-bedroom home. And the disadvantages are pretty glaring. Obviously, tenant disputes, if you're managing this process, could be a nightmare to take up a bunch of time. The turnover rates are much higher in this model. And a lot of times the home is less cared for if there's multiple tenants versus a family. Some of these disadvantages I talked about, and obviously the legal aspect of it could potentially be a big disadvantage if you don't understand it or if the city doesn't allow for that. But a lot of these concerns were allayed for me when I spoke to Pad Split because they handled some of the issues that I definitely didn't want to handle. But once again, do your research. But this is a strategy that I'm actually looking to implement in one of the homes that I currently own right now that is a 4-bedroom with 3-bath. And if I could do this model, because right now I'm renting it out as a long-term unit, but if I can turn it into something like this, it's going to be way better for me as a homeowner and an investor looking to make as much money as I can on an investment. Now, these are some things that I've seen when you rent out a single-family home to multiple tenants, but I'd be interested, what have you heard? What news have you heard out there? What dangers, pitfalls, or good things have you heard about it? Please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by and watching the video, I've got a free gift for you. It's 100% free, aaronsfreetraining.com. It is my short-term rental calculator. You put in the purchase price, income, expenses. It spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not, and it's absolutely free. aaronsfreetraining.com. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.